The cattle pen stank of manure and desperation. Anna Whitfield stood beside her father in the dust, her wrists bound with rope, her dress torn at the hem from the 3-day journey. Around them men circled, ranchers, traders, opportunists, examining livestock with the same indifferent calculation they now turned on her. Her father, Silas Whitfield, had his hand clamped around her elbow, his grip bruising. He was drunk. He'd been drunk since her mother died 2 winters ago, and the farm had failed, and the debt had piled up like snow against a door that wouldn't open. "Gentlemen," Silas called out, his voice slurred but loud, "my daughter here, 18 years old, strong, can cook, sew, work a field. I'm asking 20 head of cattle. Fair price for a wife." Anna closed her eyes, willing herself not to cry. The men laughed, some nervous, some cruel. A few walked closer, circling her like vultures. One reached out to touch her hair. She jerked away, and Silas yanked her back into place. "Don't be difficult," he hissed in her ear. "You'll do what I tell you, or I'll sell you to the first man who offers 10. Anna's throat tightened. She'd known this was coming. Silas had been talking about it for weeks, half joking at first, then serious, then desperate. She'd thought about running. She'd thought about stealing a horse and disappearing into the frontier. But where would she go? A woman alone out here didn't last long, so she'd stayed. And now she was standing in a cattle pen, being auctioned off like property. 15 head, someone called out. A bearded man with tobacco-stained teeth, old enough to be her grandfather. 18, another voice countered. A younger man, lean and mean-looking, with scars on his knuckles. Silas grinned, greedy. "We got ourselves a bidding war, boys." Anna's vision blurred. She wanted to scream, to fight, to run, but her body felt frozen, numb, disconnected from her mind. Then a new voice cut through the noise. 20. The crowd turned. A man stood at the edge of the pen, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a dusty coat and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed his face. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. The word fell like a stone into still water. Silas perked up, greedy hope sparking in his bloodshot eyes. 20 head? 20! The man stepped forward, and Anna saw him clearly for the first time. He was older than her, maybe 30, maybe older, with a weathered face and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. A scar ran along his jawline, pale against sun-darkened skin. He moved with the quiet confidence of someone who didn't need to prove anything. He stopped in front of Anna, studying her face. She met his gaze, defiant despite the tears burning behind her eyes. "What's your name?" he asked. "Anna." He nodded once, then turned to Silas. "I'll pay 20 head. But I'm not buying her." Silas frowned, confused. "What? I'm marrying her." The man looked back at Anna. "If she agrees." The pen went silent. Anna stared at him, her heart pounding. "What?" "I'm offering you a choice," he said quietly. "You can go with one of these men, or you can come with me. As my wife, not my property." "My partner," Silas sputtered. "Now wait just a damn minute." The man didn't look at him. He kept his eyes on Anna. "Your decision." Anna's mind raced. She didn't know this man, didn't know if he was kind or cruel, honest or a liar. But she knew what the alternative was. She knew that if she stayed here, she'd be sold to the highest bidder, and whatever happened after that would be worse than anything she could imagine. She took a breath. "Yes," the man nodded. "Then it's done." Silas grabbed her arm. "Hold on." The man moved faster than Anna expected. He caught Silas's wrist, his grip iron tight. "Take your hand off her." Silas tried to pull away, but the man didn't let go. For a moment, they stood locked in silence, the threat hanging unspoken in the air. Finally, Silas released her. The man let him go, then pulled a folded paper from his coat pocket. "This is a promissory note for 20 head of cattle, to be delivered within the week. You'll sign a marriage license right here, right now, witnessed by these men. Then you walk away." Silas's face twisted with rage and humiliation, but he nodded. "Fine." Someone fetched the circuit preacher from the saloon, a rail-thin man who reeked of whiskey. He performed the ceremony in the dust, mumbling the words while Anna stood beside the stranger, her hands shaking. When the preacher asked if she took this man as her husband, Anna said, "I do." When he asked the man, he said, "I do," and his voice was steady. They signed the paper. Silas signed. The witnesses signed, and just like that, Anna Whitfield became Anna Brennan. The man, her husband, cut the ropes from her wrists with a knife from his belt. He didn't touch her otherwise. just gestured toward a horse tied at the edge of the pen. "Come on." Anna followed, her legs weak, her mind reeling. As they rode away, she looked back once and saw her father standing in the dust, counting imaginary cattle in his head. She didn't look back again. They rode in silence for hours. The landscape stretched out around them, flat, endless prairie broken by distant mesas and the occasional stand of cottonwood trees. The sun beat down mercilessly, and Anna's mouth was dry as sand, but she didn't ask for water. She didn't ask for anything. Her husband, God, the word felt strange even in her mind, rode ahead on a black gelding, leading her mare by the reins. He hadn't spoken since they left the pen, hadn't looked at her. Just rode steady and silent, like he was transporting cargo. Finally, as the sun began to dip toward the horizon, he stopped beside a narrow creek and dismounted. "We'll camp here tonight." Anna slid off her horse, her legs cramping. She watched as he unsaddled the horses, watered them and tied them to a low tree. He moved with practiced efficiency, every motion deliberate. He built a fire, pulled jerky and hardtack from his saddlebag, and handed her half without a word. She ate slowly, watching him across the flames. "What's your name?" she asked finally. He looked up as if surprised she'd spoken. Jacob Brennan. Where are we going?" "My ranch. About 2 days' ride north." Anna nodded, digesting this. "What do you expect from me?" Jacob studied her for a long moment. "I expect you to work. I've got land, cattle, a house that needs tending. It's hard work, but it's honest. And at night." His jaw tightened. "You'll have your own room. I won't touch you unless you want me to." Anna blinked, surprised. "Then why did you marry me?" Jacob poked at the fire with a stick, his expression unreadable. "Because I needed a wife, and you needed out. But you could have just paid my father and left me there. Could have." He looked at her then, something raw in his eyes. "But I've seen what happens to women in your situation. I wasn't going to let that happen to you." Anna's throat tightened. "You don't even know me. Don't need to. I know your father's type. I know how this world treats women with nowhere to go." He paused. "My mother was sold the same way. She died when I was 10. I swore I'd never let it happen again if I could stop it." Anna looked down at her hands, scarred and calloused from years of farm work. "So this is charity?" "No," Jacob's voice was firm. "This is a partnership. You work, I work. We build something together. You earn your place same as me." Anna met his gaze, searching for deception, for cruelty, for the trap she was certain was coming. She found none. "And if I want to leave?" Jacob shrugged. "Then you leave. I won't stop you." She didn't believe him. Men didn't let their property walk away. But she nodded anyway, too tired to argue. They slept on opposite sides of the fire. And Anna lay awake for hours, staring at the stars, wondering if she'd just traded one prison for another. The next day, they reached the edge of a small settlement, barely a town, just a trading post, a blacksmith and a saloon. Jacob stopped to buy supplies while Anna waited with the horses. That's when she saw the poster. It was nailed to the side of the trading post, ink stark against yellowed paper. Anna's blood turned to ice. She read it twice, her hands shaking. The description matched. Tall, scar on his jaw, dark hair. The crime: killing a rancher named Caleb Hurst 3 years ago in a dispute over land. The poster called him dangerous. Anna looked toward the trading post where Jacob was inside, his back to he. She could run. She could scream. She could find the law and turn him in, collect the reward, use the money to disappear. But then she thought about the way he'd looked at her in the cattle pen, the way he'd cut the ropes from her wrists, the way he'd promised her a choice. Jacob emerged from the trading post carrying a sack of flour. He saw her standing by the poster, saw the expression on her face. He stopped for a moment, neither of them moved. Then he walked over slowly, setting down the flour. He looked at the poster, then at her. "I killed him," Jacob said quietly. "That part's true." Anna's voice came out as a whisper. "Why?" "Because he tried to take my land. And when I wouldn't sell, he came back with 6 men and burned my barn. My brother was inside." Jacob's expression was stone. "I hunted Caleb down and put a bullet through his heart. Then I ran." Anna stared at him. "So you're a murderer?" "I'm a man who defended what was his." Jacob's eyes met hers. "But if you want to turn me in, I won't stop you." Anna looked at the poster again, then back at Jacob. She thought about her father, selling her like livestock. She thought about the men in the pen, circling her with greedy eyes. She thought about the life she'd left behind, the violence, the hunger, the endless cycle of cruelty, and she thought about Jacob, offering her a way out when he had nothing to gain. Anna tore the poster down, crumpled it, and tossed it into the dirt. "Let's go," she said. Jacob stared at her, something like relief flickering across his face. "You sure?" "I'm sure." They rode out of town together, and behind them a rider watched from the shadows, memorizing their direction. The ranch appeared on the third day, nestled in a valley between two ridges. It wasn't much. A timber cabin with a stone chimney, a barn that had been rebuilt from charred remains, a corral with a dozen cattle. But it was clean, sturdy, and surrounded by miles of open land. Anna stood in the doorway of the cabin, looking around. There was a table, 2 chairs, a bed in one corner and a smaller cot in another room. Simple, but more than she'd expected. "It's not fancy," Jacob said, watching her. "But it's yours now, too." Anna nodded. "I'll make it work." Over the next week, she settled into a rhythm. She cooked, mended clothes, tended the garden Jacob had started but neglected. He worked the land, repaired fences, cared for the cattle. They spoke little, but the silence between them grew comfortable. Anna found herself watching him when he didn't know, saw the way he moved with quiet strength, the way he was gentle with the animals, the way he never raised his voice. She started to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be a real life. Then the riders came. Anna was hanging laundry when she heard the hoofbeats, distant at first, then closer. She turned and saw 5 men on horseback, riding hard toward the ranch. Jacob emerged from the barn, rifle in hand. His face was grim. "Get inside," he said. "Who are they?" "Bounty hunters." Anna's stomach dropped. "How do you know?" "Because I've been expecting them." The riders stopped at the edge of the property. The leader was a thick-set man with a marshal's badge pinned to his vest. He dismounted, hand resting on his revolver. "Jacob Brennan." Jacob didn't lower the rifle. "That's me. I'm Marshal Dawes, got a warrant for your arrest." "Murder of Caleb Hurst." Jacob nodded slowly. "So you planning to take me in?" "That's the idea. And if I don't come willingly?" Dawes smiled, cold. "Then we take you dead." Anna stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Wait." Jacob shot her a look. "Anna, get inside." "No," she moved to stand beside him. "If you take him, you take me too." Dawes frowned. "Who are you?" "His wife." The marshal's eyes narrowed. "Wife, huh? You know what he did?" "I know he defended his home. I know his brother died. I know he did what any man would do. Law doesn't see it that way, ma'am." Anna's voice hardened. "Then the law's wrong." Dawes studied her, then looked back at Jacob. "You got yourself a loyal one. Shame she's backing a killer." Jacob's grip on the rifle tightened. "You take 1 step closer, Marshal, and I'll drop you where you stand. That'd make you a cop killer. They'll hunt you to the ends of the earth. Then I guess I'm already dead." The standoff stretched, the air thick with tension. Anna could feel her pulse hammering in her ears. Then Dawes smiled. "Tell you what, Brennan, I'm a reasonable man. You come with us peaceful, I'll make sure your wife here gets safe passage to wherever she wants to go. Otherwise things get messy." Jacob looked at Anna, something like regret in his eyes. "Jacob, don't, it's all right." "No, it's not." He lowered the rifle slowly, handing it to Anna. "Take care of the place." "Jacob," he stepped forward, hands raised. Dawes nodded, and 2 of his men dismounted. Pulling out iron shackles, Anna watched, helpless, as they cuffed Jacob's wrists and led him toward the horses. Before they lifted him onto a saddle, Jacob looked back at her one last time. "Thank you," he said quietly. Then they rode away, taking him into the dust. Anna stood alone in the yard, the rifle heavy in her hands, her heart breaking. For 3 days Anna stayed on the ranch. Numb, she worked mechanically, feeding the cattle, tending the garden, cooking meals she didn't eat. At night, she lay awake in the cabin, staring at the empty cot, replaying the moment Jacob had handed her the rifle. He'd surrendered without a fight. He'd protected her instead of himself. On the 4th day, she made a decision. Anna saddled Jacob's black gelding, packed supplies, and rode into town. She found the marshal's office, a squat building at the edge of the settlement, and walked inside. Dawes sat behind a desk, feet propped up, reading a newspaper. He looked up when she entered, surprise flickering across his face. "Mrs. Brennan, didn't expect to see you here." "Where is he?" "County jail." 30 miles east. Trial set for next week. Anna stepped closer. I want to see him. Dawes raised an eyebrow. You planning to bust him out? I'm planning to visit my husband. He studied her for a long moment, then shrugged. Suit yourself. But you won't change anything. He's guilty. Everyone knows it. Anna didn't respond. She turned and left. The county jail was a stone building surrounded by high walls. Anna talked her way past the guards, claiming she had legal documents, lying through her teeth, and was led down a narrow corridor lined with cells. Jacob sat in the last one, head bowed, wrist still shackled. He looked up when he heard footsteps, and his eyes widened. Anna, you're an idiot, she said, her voice shaking. He stood slowly, moving to the bars. You shouldn't have come. Why did you surrender? Because if I'd fought, you would have gotten hurt. And now what? You die for me? Jacob's jaw tightened. Better me than you. Anna grabbed the bars, her knuckles white. That's not your choice to make. Yes, it is. They stared at each other, the weight of unspoken things pressing down between them. Finally, Anna spoke, softer now. Tell me about your brother. Jacob exhaled slowly, his shoulders sagging. His name was Samuel. He was younger than me, 17. He wanted to be a rancher like our father. His voice cracked. He died because I wasn't fast enough, because I couldn't save him. It wasn't your fault, feels like it was. Anna reached through the bars, her hand finding his. Jacob, you saved me. You gave me a life when I had nothing. So if you think I'm going to let you die in here, you're wrong. He looked at her, something breaking in his eyes. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. A guard's voice echoed down the corridor. Time's up, Mum. Anna squeezed Jacob's hand one last time. Don't give up on me. Never. She left, her mind already racing. The trial took place in a cramped courtroom packed with spectators. Anna sat in the front row, her hands clenched in her lap, watching as the prosecution laid out their case. They called witnesses, men who'd known Caleb Hurst, men who testified that Jacob had ambushed him in cold blood. Jacob's court-appointed lawyer barely put up a fight. Then the judge asked if the defense had any witnesses. Anna stood. I do. Your Honor, the judge frowned. And you are? Anna Brennan, Jacob's wife. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The judge gestured for her to approach. Anna walked to the witness stand, her heart pounding. The prosecutor stood, smirking. Mrs. Brennan, you weren't present during the alleged crime, were you? No. Then what testimony could you possibly offer? Anna looked directly at the jury. I can testify to his character, the prosecutor laughed. Character doesn't change the facts. Maybe not, but it changes the context. Anna's voice was steady now. Caleb Hurst burned Jacob's barn with his brother inside. He murdered a 17-year-old boy in cold blood. Jacob didn't ambush him. He hunted him down and delivered justice when the law wouldn't. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. The prosecutor stepped forward. Mrs. Brennan, are you saying vigilante justice is acceptable? I'm saying that sometimes, when the law fails, good men have to make impossible choices. She turned to the jury. Jacob Brennan saved my life. He married me when I was being sold like cattle, gave me a home, treated me with more respect than anyone ever has. If that's the kind of man you want to hang, then go ahead. But know that you're hanging someone who did what any of you would do to protect what's yours. Silence. The prosecutor tried to object, but the judge waved him down. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. We find the defendant not guilty. The courtroom exploded. Jacob stared at the jury, then at Anna. Disbelief written across his face. Dawes stood furious, but there was nothing he could do. Jacob was free. They rode back to the ranch together, side by side, the setting sun painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Neither of them spoke until they reached the cabin. Jacob dismounted, then helped Anna down. They stood facing each other, the wind tugging at their clothes. You didn't have to do that, Jacob said quietly. Yes, I did. Why? Anna looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not a killer, not a stranger, but the man who'd given her a choice when no one else would. Because you're my husband, she said. And I choose you. Jacob pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the only solid thing in a shifting world. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me. Just promise me something. Anything. Promise me we build a real life here, together. Jacob pulled back, looking into her eyes. I promise. Years later, Anna would stand on the porch of their expanded ranch, a thriving operation with 100 head of cattle, 2 hired hands and 3 children running through the yard, and remember the day she'd been sold in a cattle pen. She'd remember the stranger who'd called her his wife instead of his property. She'd remember choosing him again and again until the choice became as natural as breathing, and she'd remember that sometimes the best things in life begin in the dust, unplanned, unexpected, and utterly worth fighting for. Jacob came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, and she leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. What are you thinking about? He asked. Anna smiled. How lucky I am. Lucky? To have been sold to you. Jacob laughed, a sound that still surprised her with its warmth. Pretty sure I'm the lucky one. She turned in his arms, kissing him softly. Then I guess we're both lucky. And as the sun set over the land they'd built together, Anna Brennan knew beyond doubt, beyond fear, beyond anything the world had tried to take from her, that she was finally truly home.